So now we are ready to prepare our filling. So for our filling, we need 200 grams of dried mangoes, 1 cup of water, 3/4 cup of granulated white sugar, 2 eggs, 1/4 teaspoon baking soda, 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, and I have this favorite essence of mine that I usually use in some of my pastries. It's called Fiori di Sicilia. I actually bought this from a baking supply shop here in New York, but without this, your product would just be fine, or you could actually also use a vanilla extract. So this is the Fiori di Sicilia is optional. The reason why I just like this is this has a flavor essence similar to a vanilla ice cream with some orange blossom, so it really complements well with the mangoes. But I believe that vanilla extract will do exactly the same. It gives you a very nice aromatic flavor that blends very well with mangoes. So first that we would do is we have here mangoes, right? So we will have to soften the mangoes in hot water, and then we'll put it in a food processor to chop it roughly. But without the food processor, you can do this step by actually chopping off the mangoes, just so when they're soft, you can immediately mix it into the filling mixture. So the best way to chop the mangoes is actually not to use a knife, but rather to use a pair of scissors. This is actually quicker and a lot easier. So you can roughly cut the dried mangoes in small pieces, and then put them in water. We'll put them in a saucepan, and then we'll soften it for about 10 minutes in water using medium heat. Okay? All right, so these mangoes are now soft. So they have been boiled or softened in water for about 7 to 10 minutes. Now, again, if you don't have this mini food processor or a blender, you can just roughly cut your dried mangoes into small pieces, boil them, and then strain them. So now with our food processor, this is what we're going to do. We'll strain the excess fluids. We'll strain the liquid, sorry. Strain the excess liquid using a strainer. And then we'll transfer it into our food processor. All right, so you have to make sure that it is under the chop settings. Some of the food processors have a puree setting and a chop setting. Make sure that you switch it to chop. Okay, so roughly pulse it in. Okay, and that's it. So our mangoes are already prepared. Now let's prepare the other ingredients for our filling. All right, so our mangoes are ready. Now let's add in the rest of the ingredients. So first is, in a mixing bowl, we combine sugar, flour, baking soda, we mix them all together first. And then we'll gradually add the eggs. So the eggs contribute to the richness of this mango bars, while the egg yolks, contribute to the richness of the mango bars, and the egg whites provide that structure of the filling. So we'll add it one at a time. Make sure you crack the eggs on a separate bowl, because if you have a spoiled egg, then you spoil the rest if you add it directly right there. So we got 2 eggs. So use a wire whisk to mix all these ingredients. And then later on, when we add the chopped mangoes, we will use a wooden spoon, or you can actually also use a rubber scraper. Okay. All right, and then we have here the mangoes. So mix in the mangoes into the egg, flour, sugar mixture. So this is going to be our mango filling. All right, so our crust is now baked. You see some browning that is on top of our bottom crust. And now this is our mango filling. Now for the last step before we pour it into our bottom crust, I will be getting about a teaspoon of vanilla extract, or here I have the Fiori di Sicilia. And mix it well. Okay, now this is our prepared crust. Pour in our mango filling. Okay, so spread the filling evenly on top of the crust. We can use an angled spatula. Make sure that you fill the corners as well, because that's the most common area where people miss out. Okay, so we will be baking this for another 30 minutes or until the filling on top is set. All right, so our mango bars here have been baked. You see the golden brown crusting of the filling, and this has cooled down for about 4 hours, and now we will start cutting this into squares. So first is we get a spatula and make sure to release the sides. All right. So now this is the advantage of having the overhang, is you can just lift it up in one piece and then transfer it into your cutting board. So what I'm gonna do next is we will cut this into squares. All right, so I have here a sharp knife. I'm just gonna try to trim off the edges. I'm gonna use this, you can also use a spatula to kind of loosen the sides from the foil. So do it in 4 sections. Now, in my experience with bars, this is actually best when you have better chances of having clean cuts when you actually rest your brownies or bars overnight, because the filling is more set and the crust is also set. So at this point, I am going to cut this into squares. So try to clean your knife as you go along. Now, it would also help if you cover your knife with cling wrap. So when you start portion sizing your bars, you have to know how many pieces of bars you want to make out of your pan. You can just, go along. But so for this, I will have like 16 squares for this bar, for this recipe. Okay. So now we have here powdered sugar and a sifter. Just sift the powdered sugar on top, and then we'll place this into paper cups. Now, the thing with putting powdered sugar on top is if you don't serve this right away, the powdered sugar oftentimes melts, especially in humid places like the Philippines. So I would suggest that just when the orders are going to be picked up is when you actually put in the powdered sugar. Or you can actually get dextrose sugar, which is whether a stable form of snow sugar. They call this sometimes a snow sugar, so you can also use that. Now we will put this in individual paper cups, and that is your mango bars. All right, so we are done portion sizing our bars. Now we'll get some gloves, and we'll transfer this into paper cups. So once once this is all baked, try as minimal handling as you can. That is to extend the shelf life of the baked item. Okay? So using an angled spatula, try to run your spatula and then place in paper cup, just like this. Okay, so if you look at the cross section of our mango bar, you could actually see how tender the crust is and how luscious, how moist the filling is. So this is actually, the way how I think about this is a Filipino version of the lemon bars, because here in the States, lemon bars is quite like a classic treat or an item that you can find in the bakery. But I think Philippines have the best mango, and why not make it into a treat like this, mango bars. Okay, so there you have it, guys, our mango bars. I hope you can try this at home, and please let me know what you think about the recipe. And for other online classes, please follow Sweet Project Culinary Studio Facebook page, and we also have a YouTube channel. It's Sweet Project at Home. you can browse through the playlists where you can see a lot of recipes. So thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time.